stay on your own lane, have your own focus, and basically drive towards that. I have to just dig in, because if I don't dig in, get my training done, I'm not going to achieve the goals that I've set out to achieve. And in my head, I had to go, no, put your big girl pants on. You've got this, and just keep moving. They lose their love of why they started CrossFit.
Yeah, I think we've seen a few youngsters in CrossFit in recent years who've suffered from that, haven't we?
The time that I stop enjoying or having fun on the competition floor is maybe my time to hang up my shoes. So some people may get an opportunity and they go, oh, do you know what? I don't know if I'm going to give that a go. But then it could change their future.
Kelly, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Really, really appreciate it. Now, you've just won the CrossFit Games. That is an incredible achievement. It'd be great if you could start us off by just filling me in on your CrossFit career and the amazing achievements that you've hit in CrossFit.
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. So I started CrossFit back in October 2012. So what's that, 13 years now? And I had never heard of CrossFit back then. So everything was really, really new to me. And my friend was like, give this a go. I think you'll be really good. And then when he started introducing like, oh, this is a snatch, this is a clean, I was like, I have no idea what he's talking about. But okay, he opened a box. So I thought, let's go down, give it a go. So me and my husband went along. And the first workout that we ever did was Kelly, which obviously, as you know, is 5 rounds, box jumps, running, wall balls. And when we look back on the video now, we're like, oh my God, we've got like the long socks, the baggy shorts, the typical CrossFit back then. And also like moving a wall ball. I'm like, oh, we moved pretty badly back then. But again, we didn't know. Now, moving forward to 2025, I then have managed to qualify for the CrossFit Games 7 times as a master athlete, and I've walked away with 7 medals.
That's incredible. Absolutely amazing.
And this year I brought it along to show you. I brought home the gold medal.
I can't quite reach through our mics with that. Oh, wow, it's heavy.
It is heavy.
This is very exciting for a CrossFit fan to hold a medal in my hands. This is brilliant. Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
So, apart from getting to see your medal, I also wanted to get you on the podcast.
Thank you.
To chat a bit about competing in a sport as intense as CrossFit in your 40s, and what you might say to anyone who is perhaps kind of in their 30s, in their 40s, thinking maybe their best physical years are behind them and doubting whether they can kind of go after whatever they want in sport, fitness, or even in life in general.
Good question. So actually my husband's having this sort of like moment at the moment. At the moment, he's having that like, oh, am I too old? Have I gone past, my CrossFit days? Because again, he did CrossFit with me, or has done. And he's like, I think I'm getting a bit too old. Is it for me? And I'm like, no, 100%. Let's slowly get you back in to sort of the rhythm, and get back to the stage where he can enjoy it again. Because I think he sort of like not fell out of love with it, but work got busy, life in general got busy. But the biggest thing is to make time for it. So, find something that you enjoy. It might not be CrossFit, it might be swimming, it might be going for a walk, but just have that time set aside to go, do you know what? This is my hour of the day and I'm going to prioritize what I'm going to do. And most of all, have fun whilst doing it. And again, like age, I think is just a number. And there's so many health benefits behind being fit and active. So I just think it's really, really important for, especially later on in life. Okay, we might not be a CrossFit athlete like at the top of our game, but I think just being part of a sport and enjoying what that you do plays a big part to sort of like health.
Also, I think what's so impressive about your story as well is that you found CrossFit at, I think you said earlier, sort of your mid-30s.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't decide at that point, I'm not sort of in my early 20s, which is like a normal age, I guess, to pursue something really full pelt. You thought, I want to set myself a goal of qualifying for the games. I think you said by the time that you're 40.
Yeah.
And I think that's brilliant that you're at a slightly older age than most sort of athletes would be when they start out in a sport. You said, so I'm going to go and qualify anyway in like 4 years' time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've had the most amazing CrossFit career off the back of that. So how does that feel in hindsight, looking back at what you achieved from a new sport that you found in your 30s?
It feels a bit surreal, to be fair, because when, again, I started at 34, it was like, oh, okay, never heard of CrossFit. And then when I started, I guess, competing and thought, I could be okay at this. And then like my husband and my coach at that point was like, I think you could do okay. And let's set a goal, which was to make the games when I was 40. So in the back of my head, that was like a focus. And when I think back now, when I started CrossFit, I couldn't do a pull-up. So now I look back and go, actually, I've come quite a long way on my journey. So when, I speak to some people and they're like, oh, I couldn't ever achieve what you've achieved, and I'm like, but we all have to start somewhere. Like, I couldn't do a pull-up when I started CrossFit. And then fast forward until now, it's like, oh, okay, I have achieved quite a bit. So I think it's one of those things that if you can set yourself a goal and it's not an unrealistic goal, you sort of can look back on life and gone, oh, okay, yeah, I've done all right.
So when you set yourself the goal of qualifying for the games, that's a huge goal. So did you kind of break it down into smaller goals to hit along the way, working towards that bigger goal?
Yeah, so I looked at sort of like some European competitions within sort of like my age group, and like try to break them down and go, okay, let's go and try and qualify for that, see where I'm at, see what my weaknesses are, see if I can work on my weaknesses to hopefully then by the time that I was 40, that hopefully I've sort of leveled across the field. Weightlifting, should I say, was always my strength, even though I never did it as a child or, in my 20s. I was, I guess, quite a naturally strong female. So I've had to work very hard on my gymnastics. Again, not doing that as a child. And sometimes I'm like, why didn't I do gymnastics? But I've had to work on that. And that's been quite a challenging thing for me, to look back on and go, okay, this is where I was, this is where I'm at now. And just over time to work towards qualifying for the CrossFit Games is, okay, let's go to this competition, see where we're at. Let's go to this one. And it just went from there, really.
It's, I still think it's incredible. Also, all this training is obviously tougher on the body once you probably even pass maybe 34, 35. How do you look after your body, especially when you're kind of learning as you were in those early days?
Yeah.
In something as brutal as CrossFit is on the body? Like, do you have any kind of tools or tricks that people could use to kind of help themselves physically?
I guess one of the biggest things is making sure that your body's fueled. So some people underfuel their body by just not eating correctly or having the right thing. So nutrition has been a big thing up until most probably I qualified for the games. I was just working on what I thought was good. And then I reached out to someone to work with them and just say, and he was like, no, you're not eating enough. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, come on, let's put a plan together. So I think that's a big thing. Sleep is a big thing. which is hard when you've had like two small girls starting. But, to try and get sleep built in is a big thing. And also to look after your body when you're training, so not to overtrain. And with the weights and things like that, it's like listen to your body. So if you feel a niggle coming on, don't push it that day. You might need to ease back on your training, and even take some stuff out of your training. So I've sort of learned along the way that more isn't always better. It's just making what training you have effective.
Then how do you cover everything that you need to practice in CrossFit? Because
That's
there's
the
just
hardest
so
point.
much in there, isn't there?
That's the hardest point because there's so many elements, there's so many movements. Like I said, for me, the gymnastics has been the bit that I've had to work on more. But then you're trying to balance because then you've still got the fitness side, you've still got the weightlifting side. So for me, it's just looking at and highlighting, okay, what's the weakest point? And if I can keep a nice level balance on the other parts, then that's how to sort of like how we work.
So I wanted to ask you another question relating specifically to longevity. I would say a lot of younger people tend not to really think about longevity, and they think it's sort of something to worry about later. What do you wish that you had known or done in your 20s that would have helped you even more now?
I guess in my 20s, I wish CrossFit was around then. But then I think, if it was around then, what would my body still be in the shape it's in today with touch wood, not too many niggles? I guess maybe partied less. But then your 20s are there to sort of
enjoy
have
life.
fun and enjoy. Yeah, it's just thinking, I think for a 20-year-old that's maybe coming into CrossFit, finding it quite early on, is just making sure, I think the most important is not to overtrain, because I think then they become burnt out. They lose their love of why they started CrossFit.
Yeah, I think we've seen a few youngsters in CrossFit in recent years who've suffered from that, haven't we?
Yeah, and I think that's such a shame because you can see their passion for it and they think the more they train, the better they're going to get. But actually, they've got a long journey, ahead of them. And that's sort of what I try and tell, like, the younger generation is like, you've got a long journey ahead of you. Enjoy it while you can now, but also just take your time building to get where you want to be.
There's a lot of CrossFit content out there which sort of promotes sort of hours and hours of really hardcore, highly intense training every single day, saying that's what CrossFit athletes have to do to be able to be at the top of their game. But I think that's maybe a bit misleading.
Yeah, and I think also, as we know, sometimes social media can be a bit misleading. So some people, like you said, may read and go, I need to train 6 hours a day to be at the top of my game. And it's like, well, actually, no, you don't. You could half that time and think, okay, let's train more effectively and be more smarter with my training.
I also wanted to ask you a bit about mental endurance as well as the physical. Obviously, competing at your level requires a huge amount of mental endurance. What do you do to keep your motivation high year after year when the grind of training never really stops?
Good one. So I guess from the mental side of things, when I started CrossFit, I trained quite a lot by myself. So I learned that actually it was about me and what I put into my training. And if I didn't do my training, then that's on my head. So it got to the point where I'm like, do you know what? I'm training by myself. I have to just dig in. Because if I don't dig in, get my training done, I'm not going to achieve the goals that I've set out to achieve. But as the years, I guess, have progressed, training by yourself gets quite boring and harder. So having people around to jump in with you or you jump in with their workouts, helps with that mental endurance, that toughness, because it makes it more enjoyable. So let's just say I was training 2 days out of my training week by myself. Then the other 2 days I was jumping in with people, they were jumping in with me. That makes you or has made me more sort of tough, and the mental side of things more enjoyable as well, because it's like, oh, okay, the days that I've like gone, oh, I really don't want to be doing this, and then the following day I'm training with someone else and it's like, yay, okay, we can push each other. And I think sometimes working alongside someone else can give you that extra push, but I don't think I could do that every single day.
No.
Because then you lose that sort of like love of, oh, okay, I'm training, with someone today. So I don't mind training by myself, but I think over the time, for the mental side of things, it's just made it more enjoyable to sort of jump in with friends and other people that, they want to be pushed, but also you want to be pushed as well. So there may be things that they're better at,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
And do you have sort of a regular training partner?
Yeah, so we have a few. There's and like different, like some of them are really good at gymnastics. So I'm like, I've got to really dig in today. And then there's other ones that, I can hold my own on cardio. The only thing at the moment is that they're younger than me. So I'm like, okay, if I can sort of hold with them, then I'm doing okay. So that's sort of like my challenge, I think, as long as I can hold my own, and I'm like nearly 20 years older than them.
Oh, wow. That's a massive
Then,
difference. You're doing brilliantly then if you're managing to hold your own.
Yeah, that's what I think. But we're the guys that obviously I'm training with at the moment, we're doing a team. So that's really good fun, because there's certain things that we have a good balance across the board.
Yeah,
so
nice.
we all push each other.
When it comes to training itself, obviously it sounds like you love your training, but there's got to be tough times as well. There's something I ask everyone on the podcast, and it is when you're trying to push yourself through a really tough moment, usually in training or maybe at the height of competition, do you have anything that you say to yourself internally, like a little mantra to keep you going?
So this year at the Games, I sort of had two moments. And one of them has actually been with me over the few years. And it's like, if I'm hurting, so is everyone else.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that.
And that's more of like, and that could be, I'm out of breath, I'm hurting, everyone else is hurting. Or it could be I get up the following day of having wall balls or heavy squats the day before in a competition, and I can barely walk down the stairs, and I'm thinking, how am I going to get through another day of competing when my legs aren't working? And then I'm like, okay, if I'm hurting, everyone else hopefully
so don't
is
freak
too.
out and panic because everyone else is going to be in the same boat.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a really good one. And what was the other? You said you had two.
The other one was, we had a ring muscle up workout this year, and I got into, it was like 5 rounds, and it was ring muscle ups, overhead squats and box jumps. And I got to round 3, and ring muscle ups aren't my strongest point. And I got to round 3, and my head was like trying to get the better of me, as if to say, you're rubbish at this, you're not doing very well. And in my head, I had to go, no, put your big girl pants on. You've got this, and just keep moving. So that was a big one this year. And then I jumped back up on the rings and then just ticked through. And in the end, I finished 9th out of 30. So that was a big win for me.
Yeah, that's a good one as well. Put your big girl pants on.
Yeah.
Come on, we can do it.
Yeah.
And another question I also ask everyone, which is a slightly tougher one. What's one truth about yourself that training has forced you to face?
One truth. Most probably like mental toughness, really. Of like, it's down to me, especially in an individual comp. It's on me. There's no one else there. So I guess mental toughness is most probably the one.
And that's made me think, actually, do you take kind of different mental strategy to doing individual comps versus team comps in terms of sort of the way you're thinking when you're actually on the competition floor? Because it's not just you, come on, put my big girl pants on, get through this. You're obviously having with a team to kind of be on the same level as them. And I mean, how do you even communicate with each other, like where you're at mentally, or is there not even time for that?
Yeah, it is very different, individual to team. I love a team. I wouldn't say it's more relaxed. I think I do feel different to an individual, because you go into an individual and you're like, well, if I do it wrong, it's my muck up. If I'm in a team, I don't want to let my team down. So the whole time you're thinking, okay, I can't be crap at this, because if I am, I'm letting them down. So communication is key. And we've been training for the Marbella comp for sort of like a couple of months all together, because we're all based in Southampton area. So we can meet like once a week and we can communicate, and we know how each other work and what each other's strengths and weaknesses are. So I think as a team, we try and tell each other we're there to have fun, like I do on an individual comp. But I always sort of go, come on, guys, we're here to enjoy it as well as have fun. And we got to dig in deep at the same time.
But you're a group of highly competitive people. So even though you're saying we're here just to have fun, I'm sure underneath everyone's saying, no, we're here to win.
Yeah, pretty much that as well, I would imagine. But I'm like, if we're not having fun, then we're not going to do well.
Yeah.
So
actually, it does sound like your whole journey into CrossFit has been all about having fun, though. And we were talking earlier, and you're kind of saying you probably didn't realize how good you were at the start, because you ended up qualifying for regionals, for example. You sort of flew through the ranks of the CrossFit world. And it's maybe that approach to just having fun with it is maybe kind of what's helped you.
Yeah, because I've always said the time that I stop enjoying or having fun on the competition floor is maybe my time to hang up my shoes. But yeah, just having fun and enjoying and being out there is, I think, plays a huge part, because I think if I put too much pressure on myself to go, right, we're going out to this comp and we're definitely going to make podium, I think then that pressure then like escalates, and then it stops the whole reason of being there, having fun, why you do the sport, and things like that.
And is that your same approach when you go into the games, or did you have a goal in mind of winning it this year? Was that a surprise, or was it just to have fun?
My goal was to have fun. And I said, whatever happens out in, because it was in Columbus this year, whatever happens in Columbus happens. But the main thing is I want to have fun, because every year I never know if I'm ever going to, make it back. That could be through to qualification, due to injury or anything like that. So every year I go, I'm going out to have fun. And as long as I do the best I can, that's what matters.
And well, you did fantastically well this time, didn't you?
And it worked this year. Yeah.
And presumably you're still going to keep training and keep competing.
Yes.
I mean, what does the future hold for you?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm 40. I turned 48 a few weeks ago. So my aim would be to go try and qualify for the games next year. They've just released the new season schedule, which is changed again.
Oh, could you talk me through that a bit, actually?
Yes.
Because I'm not clued up on that yet either.
So the Open is at the end of February, overlapping March. That's for 3 weeks. Then from there, so many people, and I don't know how many, qualify for quarterfinals. And then from there, it goes to semi-finals, which apparently is in person and online. So the in-person will happen first, to then whoever doesn't qualify for the in-person gets the chance of online. And apparently that is masters and individuals. I don't know how that's going to work or where it will be. And then it's to the games. This year they've reduced the masters for 45 to 50 from the top 30 to top 20.
Oh gosh.
So it's going to make it harder because we're going to have people moving up from the 40 category this year to the 45. So it just makes that qualifying process harder.
And what are your thoughts on CrossFit often changing the way things are done every year? I know it's a bit of a contentious question, but
it would be quite nice just to have a nice, simple structure, and to see that sort of play out for a couple of years rather than have it like keep changing. So one year we had 30 qualifying athletes. One year it dropped to 10.
Yeah, I do. I remember
Then
that.
it went to 20, then 30. So it would be just quite nice just to have a set schedule for a couple of years so that you just know where you are.
Yeah. And where's the games going to be next year?
They haven't announced
They haven't
that
announced
yet.
it yet.
No.
Where would you like it to be? Where's your favourite
I don't
spot?
know, actually. Madison was very nice because
Iconic
I
as
think
well.
everyone got used to it. You had the lovely outside space. You had the Coliseum that when you walked on both, like the Northfield and the Coliseum, you walked out and went, wow, this is super impressive. It just had that wow feeling that you sort of got goosebumps. So if they could make something like that again, I think that would be pretty amazing.
What does it feel like at your first games when you walk out into the arena, wherever that may be? Must be the most incredible feeling in the world.
Yeah, it is a bit like, oh, I'm actually here. And the thoughts sort of go back in your head like, am I good enough to be here? And wow, this is just so surreal. But I think every year, to be fair, because a few people have gone, wow, this is your 7th year, you're used to this. And I'm like, no, every year feels just as special because, you know, like I've said, you never know if you're going to make it back year on year. So every year you make it back. If it's in a new location, again, it's like, oh, this is nice because I've never been here before. But just walking out and going, wow, I've achieved it again this year, just to make it back is like, you know, I'm just grateful that I've made it back. Whatever happens when I'm there happens.
So another question that I wanted to ask you, if you had to give 3 pieces of advice to anyone who is doubting that they can chase their dreams, both in and outside of sport, what would they be?
One, I would say stay in your own lane.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. So, like, for example, don't look sideways. Don't think that person's doing that. That person's doing that. I should be doing this. It's like stay in your own lane, have your own focus, and basically drive towards that.
That's really, that could be applied to anything in life, I think.
Yeah.
Don't get distracted. Just stick to your guns.
Yeah.
Keep going. Yeah. Nice.
If any opportunity arises, just take it. Because you never know what may happen, what may come out of it. So some people may get an opportunity and they go, oh, do you know what? I don't know if I'm going to give that a go. But then it could change their future.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen off the back of that opportunity.
Exactly. And basically do it while you can. So if the opportunity arises, don't put it off. Just go, do you know what? I'm going to give it a go and see.
Yeah. And a lot of athletes I speak to actually, when talking about sort of random opportunities that pop up, even just like a little podcast like this, I think they all seem to have the same way of thinking, which is I love just trying something new.
Yeah.
And yes, it's an opportunity. It's a chance to experience something new. And these successful athletes seem to just jump at that and just love anything new, even if it's a bit outside their comfort zone or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think you're inherently a bit like that? You just kind of get excited about life and kind of anything that's thrown at you and you love trying new stuff?
Yeah, I think if anyone like ask or suggest something, I always go, do you know what? What's the worst that could happen? I don't like it. I don't enjoy it, but I've given it a go. I think I said to my daughter once, she got invited to a training camp and she was like, I don't want to go. And I was like, why not? She was like, I don't know anyone there. And I went, what's the worst that could happen? You'll get there, you give it a go, you hate it, I come and pick you up. And then it was like, okay, I'll try it. And then literally she went, got a phone call later, halfway through the day. Oh my God, I absolutely love it. So I think it's one of those that, yeah, if someone's asking you to do something or try something out, it's like, well, why not?
Yeah.
Let's see where it may take us.
And so if there was anyone listening to this who thought, okay, I would like to just start CrossFit and set myself a goal of qualifying for the games in 5 years' time or whatever, or maybe you could tell me how long they would need to give themselves, but how would they actually go and approach it in terms of a training routine, how they need to kind of structure their week to train enough to start getting to anywhere near the right kind of level?
My advice for anyone first starting out that hasn't ever done CrossFit and they go, oh, I want to maybe achieve the CrossFit Games in 5 years, is the first thing would be to go to a box and first of all start off of joining in with the classes, because I think classes play a big part.
Okay.
I did that when I first started, that I joined in with the classes. So I had a bit of an understanding of the movements. It's coach led. So the coach has got an eye on you. And I think that's the biggest important thing when you first start out, because if, for example, you came to me and said, I want to go to the games in 5 years, could you write a program for me? You then might go off into the corner by yourself and start snatching or start doing a pull-up, and it could be completely the wrong technique, but no one's got their eyes on you because you're just doing it from a remote online coaching. So you may pick up bad habits. You may be at a point of injuring yourself because you're not doing it correctly. So I would say the most important is the first 2 years, definitely jump in with the classes. So you've got a basic understanding. It's coach led. And also you can see then what level you are against other people. Because most people in CrossFit have a competitive edge.
Yeah, of course.
Even though we go, when the 3, 2, 1 goes, we're not gonna, this isn't a competition, guys. But as soon as that 3, 2, 1 goes, everyone is games mode. We're going to push hard.
Yeah, of course.
So I think that is a good base level to know where you're at. And then from there, if you think, okay, actually, I'm quite against my peers, I'm actually quite a good level, then it would be looking around for a coach, whether that would be in-house, elsewhere, and then you can work with them to put a structure in place.
And then what would a routine look like? Realistically, how many days would you have to be training a week? Or is that completely dependent on the person and the skill?
Yeah, I think it's most probably dependent on the person. I like to train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, have Thursday off, Friday, Saturday, have Sunday off.
Wow, that is a lot of training in 1 week, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's mainly, I like to have Sundays off because of family day.
Yeah.
And then Thursday just breaks up that week.
And then when you say train, how long is a session for those days that you do train?
Tends to be around about, it depends how much you talk, but it generally used to be around about 2.5 hours. And that could be a strength part into sort of a metcon, so a workout, into some accessories, so breaking down the weak areas that I need to work on. But yeah, 2 to 2.5 hours. Or it might be that I might jump in a class and then just do some accessories after, depending on what it is.
So we've spoken a bit about the training. Nutrition-wise, I guess it's just fueling yourself right so that your body can keep going and training that hard.
Yeah.
Would that involve sort of keeping your protein really high, obviously tracking everything you're eating? What else specifically do you need to do to equip yourself right?
I would say recovery as well.
Yeah, back to sleep.
Yeah, back to sleep, and making sure that obviously, you're not going to bed at 12 o'clock at night and waking up at 6 o'clock the following morning.
So would you say that a good 8 hours?
A good 8 hours. I struggle for
who gets
that.
to do that? I don't know.
I think the only time I do that is when I'm a week before the games and I go out and I stay with Sam, and she gets me into that sleeping pattern, and I'm like, oh my God, I've got 9 hours
It's
today.
the Sam Briggs.
Yeah. And it is like, yes, I'm on track. But
Also, is she very militant about sleep?
she's
then?
very good at like, when you're at my house, we are sleeping camp. So so that's a good thing. But I would say sleep is a big thing. Obviously nutrition we've touched on. Recovery as well could be making sure that, you know, you're getting regular treatment for like massaging, you're stretching, like you're cooling down properly.
Which no one ever does.
Yes. You know, we work out and then we finish and walk out the door. So, you know, taking those elements into account as well is plays a big part.
And would you say to anyone anyone with some form of ability in CrossFit and a decent level of fitness, would you say that anyone can go for it if they want to?
Yeah, I
the
think
right
like
coaching.
if you're at a good level, you know, you may be very good at weightlifting. So, you know, what you need to work on is your gymnastics or your fitness side of things. There's no reason why to look at it to see where you're at. And I think the open is a good part to show year on year, have you progressed? Have you got any better? Because it gives you your like percentile of where you're sat. So if you're 99% percentile, is that right?
99th percentile.
Then obviously you're at a good level. If you're like down in the 50%, then you might have some work
And maybe
to get
adjust
to
your goals.
Yeah, your goals might be a little bit unrealistic, but I think it's good to set a goal. And it could be, you know, you start goal setting with going, okay, in the open this year, I want to try and get through to the quarterfinals. And then next year it might be, okay, I easily qualified for the quarterfinals. Then the next year I want to try and aim for quarters and semis. So it's like sort of brick by brick of working out where you want to go to next.
But I think at least at the starting point, you can definitely try CrossFit. And you don't have to be qualifying for the games like you did.
No,
you can
everyone can try CrossFit and just give it a go. You know, look for your local box, go in, book a session, go and try it out. Don't be nervous, because everyone that walks through the door, generally, if I'm coaching and we have someone new, they always look like shell shocked. And I'm like, it's fine. You'll be absolutely fine. We'll look after you. Just have fun. Enjoy this session. And, you know, if we need to change anything, adapt anything, especially for injuries or, you know, the movement might be a little bit difficult, so we'll have to scale it back, then we can do that.
Yeah. Well, I think on that note, I'm going to wrap it up there and say thank you so, so much for that. And I think the general message from this podcast is definitely just enjoy the ride, and you never know where it can take you.
Exactly.
So, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, too.